For 20 years, you've trusted us to reinvent the standard in sports nutrition products. We don't plan on stopping, just like you.
There are only a few names in the fitness industry that generate as much interest as Bradley Martyn. Some love him, and some love to criticize him. Sometimes he even finds himself as the center of a controversy. But numbers don't lie. With millions of views and followers across his social media, Bradley remains one of the top searched names, often overshadowing most pro bodybuilders today. His self-marketing skills are matched by his business sense, as his active wear line is one of the top-selling brands in the fitness industry. I arrived at Zoo Culture, Bradley's new gym in Woodland Hills, California, to get to know him more on a personal level and discover who's the man behind the character. All right, let's start rolling. Let's get this going. Bradley, man, good to meet you.
Very good to meet you.
I've been looking forward to actually meeting you for a while.
Likewise, man.
So, I'll be honest, to me, when I think of Bradley Martyn, right, like it's one of the most successful people in the fitness industry. That's how I look at it. I'll be honest with you, based on the stats. I mean, do you feel the same way, like you being Bradley Martyn, you being the man? Like, how do you feel about your place in this whole industry?
First of all, I guess I wouldn't say I feel like the man. I'm definitely grateful to be a part of this industry. But yeah, it's funny to think about that, because I just consider like where I was when it all started and like the way that everything's kind of progressed.
But do you look at it as a competition? I know like there's a competitive on-stage competition,
okay,
and there's an industry competition.
Okay, so absolutely. In the beginning, when I first got on Instagram, when I first got on social media, and became like this, because I mean, it feels like fitness is like synonymous with social media.
Right.
Fitness is almost, it feels like success in the fitness industry is like predicated off of just followers on the internet. And in the beginning, I could say, honestly, like, that's where my mind was like, oh, I got to get more followers. It's like a competition. I remember I was one of the first people to hit 10,000 followers on Instagram. And
what year was that? Do you remember?
Like 2000, maybe the beginning of 2012. Mm-hmm. Like 2011 was just ending. It was like, so, because I started doing competitions, so I'd go and be like, because it was such a small industry, and if you were into fitness, likely you'd found a hashtag and found one of the bigger profiles. Mm-hmm. And yeah, at the time, like I did feel like, oh, I'm the guy with 10,000. People are like, oh, it's the guy with 10,000. And so you did always have this like trying to get more than the next person, because you see other people growing and you're like, oh, what can I do? But I learned like as I've gone through it all, because there was moments where I was like, oh man, people are copying me, people doing this, and I would get so like upset. And then I realized like it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit in time. So, let's talk about when you came into the industry as a competitor.
Yeah.
Because you started, from what I understand, as men's physique, right?
Yeah.
So when you started men's physique, was that your goal, is to become be competitive, successful?
Yeah, I mean, initially, like, I didn't care about any of that stuff. Initially, it was just like, I had a friend who was like in the competition industry, and like I always worked out at the gym, and she was like, oh, there's this new thing coming out, you should try it. So I was like, okay, it's physique. Oh, cool, I'll try it. Put board shorts on. Like, my legs weren't really what they should have been, so I was like, okay, I'll do it. Right? Because I was like, I could just take my shirt off. I got abs. That was it. I remember my first show. I did my first show, and legit, I swear I never dieted once. I ate probably pizza like 3 days before. I just got a tan, took my shirt off, put some shorts on. And I got like 8th or something, but 8th out of like, 10. Right. And then the next show, I was like, oh, this is what they want. And then the next show, I won. And I got the overall.
How come you didn't decide to stay in the competition mode and compete further?
Initially, and I'm grateful for this, man. Like, initially, I went and did a competition, and like I got second, and they only gave out the first pro card to the first, and then every show after that they gave out 2, but I got second like right before that, like this, the first USA's, and I got second, and like I remember people booed, and like I got messages on Facebook for like 3 months, and I was like, man, this just sucks. I feel like I got screwed, and I later find out that one of the person who coached that person. Was like, buddy with the, whatever other people in there. And then that person then eventually was like, oh, I want to do this for you. Come be my competitor, like coach. And then I was kind of like, a little bit like, well, fuck all that, because like, it sucks, because like I should have won, but oh, you didn't, because like you got to join this whole thing. And for me, I was like, that's, you know, and then people talk about paying your dues, but for me, I was just kind of like, I don't really want a part of that. And then later on, I did compete again, and I competed again in an event where one of the people, one of the head judges was like, you should come do my show, you'll win. Like, obviously, you know, he's like, you can't show up fat, you show up in condition, but you'll win. I just remember, I talked about this on my podcast, actually. Before I go on stage, like he's up in the rafters, and he's like, number one, and I go on and I win, I get number one. And I look good, and I could have won. I did win. But after that experience, I was kind of like, damn, this really does suck. Because when you're not the guy, no one gives a fuck. Mm-hmm. It's a business, and I understand it. And I'm fine with that. And I want everyone to be able to like make your money, make it how you make it. I just didn't want to add to it. So as I got like older and more popular, whatever the fuck that means, I was like, I don't want to lend to that, because if I'm going to say go do this, or kids are going to see me and think, oh, Brad does that, I should go do that, not knowing what's really going on behind the curtains, that it's like it's a little bit of a popularity contest and a friendship thing. And that's fine, because I get it. You think in real life, all industries, all things, all sports are like that, where it's like people are going to get certain treatment because if I'm the guy who's making the shots, calling the shots, and you're my cousin, you're my brother, you're my girlfriend's brother, it's always going to be a relationship. You always, the person, like if 10 people walk on a stage, you're going to look at the person you know. And that's a fact. And that's okay, and I understand that. I just didn't want to be a part of that. So I'm like, I look for other sports like powerlifting, things where are just more like you either did it or you didn't. You got it or you didn't, you know? Points.
Not based on the judge.
Yeah, not subjective. Because then you hear like, I always heard like, oh, you know, go and you got to work on your stage presence, and you know, that judge on that coast likes this, and that judge on that coast likes that. And it's all just a way for like, yes, the people who win do deserve to win. Like, they're not like bad athletes. They look amazing. But there's still some sort of like, there's a direction for this. Mm-hmm. Like and everyone, it's crazy because I feel like everyone talks about it. They call it paying your dues. Everyone knows this is going on, and no one really says anything. They're like, it's just like an unsaid thing. Like, you know, like you got to be friends, and you got to go do a show over there, show love to that judge, and then go do a show, and then, you know, then they got you, and it's like, well, why? Shouldn't it just be like you're the best and you win, you know? Mm-hmm. And so that's me. When I started to see it, I was like, I don't really want a part of it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I would never say that I'm never going to compete again. I would never say that like people shouldn't do it. I just knew for me personally, it wasn't for me at that point. And I just said, I got to focus on what I want to focus on, the things that matter to me, so that I can build what I envisioned in my mind. So I just took a step back, and that's why I'm saying I was grateful for it all that happened. I didn't win, because then it put me on a different path in my life that ended me up here, and I'm grateful for that, you know?
How were you able to build your credibility? Because obviously, you know, people like, let's say in the fitness world, right, they look for Mr. Olympia for his credibility, or for this bodybuilder that won this competition for credibility. How were you able to build your credibility so people actually listen to you and believe you?
I think it's just through genuine conversation. And it's the videos, like when I do videos and I talk to a camera, I'm talking to the audience, the people who are watching me. I mean, you know, as far as credibility lifting, like I've done things you could see that I've done, you could see that I have, or I've accomplished or whatever. So people see that, and I think then they see it, they see the cool strength stuff that I'm actually doing, and then they hear the conversation. And so I think it all blends together, and they're like, oh, it's weird, because like, I don't even know if you call it credibility anymore. It's just kind of like a connection. Like I said earlier, it's a connection with the people, with the followers, the numbers that are people. And you connect with the people, and it's almost like the credibility is that level of like love, or that level of support that someone has. Because, like I said, if I did a video and it affected someone, they said, because I'll read my comments, it'll be like, you changed my life, you changed my life. Like there's all these, you know, I saw this, it made me feel better about that. I saw that, it made me feel better about this. And it's just like constant. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the credibility is people's response to what I or what anyone else has to say. And I think people forget about all that. They, you know, like, because the most credible person in the world may not be great at connecting with a person. You may have the most accolades in the world, but you can't get your point across to someone in a genuine enough way that they're like, I feel this.
So personality plays a big part.
Yeah, and I think just being true to yourself, who you are, and sharing that. Because like I said earlier, and like I always tell everybody, is like, just be yourself, like, and give that. And what matters to you, give that, share that. Because the reality is, what someone else is doing is never going to fully work for you, because you do it and it may work for some time, but then if you keep trying to do it, and you have to almost like keep checking the other person and see like, oh, I got it from them, so I'm gonna keep you're almost behind. And then at some point it becomes disgenuine because it's not from your heart and you can't keep it up. So the biggest thing is like, if you're coming from your heart, you can always keep it up. It's never an act. It's never just to get this hurrah, and it's just who you are. And if you are who you are and people support who you are, that's how you stay successful. That's how you become successful. And I think inside the fitness industry, outside the fitness industry, I think it's all industries is like that. So.
How much pressure do you feel being Bradley Martyn? Because
It's so funny, Bradley Martyn. So funny to me.
every year there's new personalities come on Instagram, right? Or social media, or just in the fitness world in general, right?
Yeah.
How much pressure do you feel keeping up with the followers, keep being relevant, so to speak? You know what I'm saying? How much?
Yeah.
Do you feel pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of everything, though. I think pressure is like the part of the thing that like makes us who we are. Like you need a little bit of that. I think the minute you kind of start to like not like feel that, it's a problem, because then you start to become more comfortable with where you're at. So of course, I think everyone feels pressure. Of course, I know I feel pressure, and it's more so just on myself to keep being a better version of myself.
How do you go about dealing with this pressure? Because I mean, like for instance,
meditate. I start meditating, man.
But I mean, from like competitive perspective, like let's say some other guy his following is growing, right? And like, do you actually keep tabs on like other people? You don't care.
I said in the beginning I used to, because it used to mean more to me. But then I realized like it's not always about a number. Like I keep saying, it's about a connection. Numbers are great, numbers are cool, but if you have 10 million people and none of them really connect with you, and if you have 1 million people and 1 million connect with you, that's more valuable than 10 million people who just want to see you. See what I'm saying? So that was the thing, is like I had all these viral videos and all this stuff, and like you bring people in, but what keeps them around is a connection. Because if that, it's just they just constantly, they're just there just for the viral thing. And that becomes who you are. You become the viral, that's the viral thing. That's what, but you don't exist beyond that. So at some point, if it's just that, if you're just like the bodybuilder with the best physique without a real connection with the people, then you're just that. And at some point, there's a new bodybuilder with the best physique. There's a new guy with the best this, the strongest that, the physical. But if you get deep and you connect with people, not many people do that and connect with people. So I think if you maintain that, and if you continue to harness that, you'll be successful beyond that. So you don't have to worry about it.
How do you deal with obviously you have quite a few brands, right? You have a great gym over here.
Thank you.
You have clothing companies. You have a supplement company, right? How do you deal with marketing? And obviously you're great at what you do, marketing wise. But how do you keep marketing to the fans, but also keep the integrity part going? Like, is it difficult for you to maintain that balance?
No, because I think if you sell what you really believe in and what you actually use and actually care about, then that's real. Like I actually wear all my clothes.
It's never an issue. It's never a matter of balance.
No, it's an issue when like you start to do outside things to try and make more money, and you're reaching, you're this and that, and then it's like, well, that's not what you normally do, or like that felt weird when you said that. But like if it doesn't feel weird because it's like I really do this, then people would be like, oh, that's normal, that's what he does. So I think it's a problem. I think a lot of people though too get, especially in the fitness industry, they get so caught up and tied up with like promoting brands that are not theirs, and that's fine because people want sponsorships and this and that. But I think because they think making a clothing line or making a gym or like it's hard, but like I didn't do it alone.
Of course.
I did it with people in my circle who I love and people I care about. Like I said, my best friends of years, and without those people, I couldn't do it. So I think what people should focus on is like find people in your life that really matter to you and make them a part if they want to be a part. And that's what I did, to be able to continue to do all these things and it be genuine, be like what I actually care about. Like I love this gym, I love everything in it. Like that's why I bought all this shit. Like I like it.
Can you talk about the gym, because I kind of followed your journey as you were building it.
Yeah.
You were kind of posting about it, you know what I mean? And like it's great to be here finally. Now, gym business. I mean, is it tough? Is it?
We don't make money. You don't make money with a gym. No.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't do this to make. Initially, I did this just to open a gym so that I could film content in it, and like, because I was filming crazy stuff, to be able to film crazy stuff and not get kicked out of gyms. That's why, honestly, I was like, I'm gonna get all the crazy stuff that I can get in here, and I can.
You have the craziest lifts I've seen. It's just the stuff you do is unbelievable.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
How do you even come up with that stuff? You just
At this point, I don't know if there's anything left because I've tried everything. So yeah, that's honestly, as far as social media goes, that's one of the hardest things to like keep. You can't keep doing that. There's only so many things.
Right.
But that's why I say it comes back to the connection. But as far as the gym, man, like I initially opened this just to have a place to film content. It wasn't going to be a member-based gym. It was just going to be like a place that I would film content, invite people, maybe rent it for photo shoots or something like that.
Interesting.
But it turned into something more, for sure. Well, a lot more.
Do you plan to one day franchise it or something like that? Or
I plan to do private expansions because, of course, at one point I'd love to franchise it, but I'd have to make sure at that point that people understand what it is, what it means, what it feels like, so that if you go to a gym, because what happens is this, say I've opened 100 gyms, you lose what it really means. Like if people give me a bunch of money, it's like, open a bunch of gyms. It doesn't mean the same because you're just opening gyms. Versus like, what this gym means and what the next gym can mean, the person where I'm going to get to open it is going to be someone that I know is about the same thing and has the same type of vibe, the same type of culture so that people can really love it, right? And I think if you just go and franchise it, it's just like I'm not at that point yet, meaning like it needs to be solidified what this gym is and what vibe you're going to get when you come into it and how you're going to feel when you're in here and the type of community you're going to have when you're in here. And if I could solidify that in like 5 gyms privately, then I would think about expanding it, because then it's solidified. So if you go out of wherever in the country, you're like, oh, I think I know enough about that gym so that I know how to be when I'm in there.
What do you think about the crazy like people using fake weights, people accusing them of using fake weights? Have you ever been accused of?
Of course. But come to the gym.
That's like a big thing to do right now, right?
Oh yeah, it's fun on the internet. Well, the internet loves to thrive on like negativity. Right. It does, and I think that's why positivity, when you see it, it shines so bright. Because people love, oh, this bad. But yeah, I mean, come to the gym. Yeah.
You think it's just human nature? Like, for instance, if you make a headline, Bradley Martyn goes and donates to charity, it would not get the same effect as Bradley Martyn.
Yeah, people love drama. People love negativity. But it's life. Like, I don't think anyone can avoid that kind of stuff.
It's just how it is.
Yeah. I think you can do your best to like try not to be a part of it.
But when you go to expos or in public, nobody ever brings negativity to you. That never happens.
People are so fucking nice, dude. Like I just went to the Ohio Arnold.
Right.
The nicest people in the world. Like it was crazy. Like I just feel like I feel good. Like I feel grateful, man. So yeah, but hate's a part of it too. Because without hate, you wouldn't be able to appreciate love. So.
I kind of got out of the box question for you. How did you feel about Rich Piana's death?
That affected me, man, a lot. Rich Piana, I knew Rich Piana before I really got into social media because I dated a girl who went to this gym up here in North Hollywood, this Gold's, and he trained there. And I remember meeting him, like, I think this was like right as he started doing the whole, the Mutant like video series and stuff like that. And he was so nice, man. The nicest guy. And I met him many times, and then I became like an influencer. And I've had so many conversations with him. Like even after in this industry, like a lot of people try to like, on me. I talked to him because I know he's always been the guy who people just, like he's got tons of drama. Right. But so I talked to him for like 3 hours, and he didn't have to do any of that. And he gave me so much like love. Like he gave me so much like advice. And like, to me, that's an important thing in my life, like I told you. Always having people who like are able to, father figures in a sense, give to me. And so, yeah, Rich is an amazing person. Rich is like, was an amazing person. I think, obviously maybe some of the choices he made were not great, but the thing is that I love about Rich is that everything he did on purpose. It wasn't like he was doing things that he didn't know he wasn't doing. Like he did it on purpose. He lived like that. And he also treated people like that, meaning like he was a guy that I noticed every time I would go to an expo. He was one of the other guys that I would always see do the same thing. The last person out. I'd see him. The last person, a few more photos. Let's say he walked, Rich, a few more photos. He was always, and I always saw him, like he always gave all of his time. So of course it affected me because like you see someone like that who's real about what he's doing. And, obviously it's sad. It's really sad. He's a good dude. He was a good dude. It's so weird saying that shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But genuine, really good experience with Rich.
I still can't believe that he passed away sometimes.
Yeah, dude. It's funny. I remember I posted a picture with Rich when he passed away, like super, like right when he passed away, because I got the word from the people back at this gym. And everyone was like, oh, you're a piece of shit, Rich didn't pass away, what an asshole. And then the next day, like a bunch of people apologized to me because they were like, oh, that's real. So that's how the internet works, man. It's crazy. It's like, fuck you. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, it really happened.
I think Rich is one of those people that he generated the most hate and the most love at the same time.
Yeah, man.
It was just like...
But that's the thing. That's what I tell everyone. I want to make this so clear. People will always love you, and people will always hate you. There was no in between. They'll love you, they'll hate you. And you just keep being yourself, and you get more people who love you and more people who hate you. And Rich just did that. That's exactly who he was. That's what I said. He was himself. He was always that. And that's why I always looked up to him, for sure. 100%. And he's gave me tons of good advice, man. So nothing but love for Rich. Like, so much love for Rich.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Going to the expo still important to you?
Absolutely. That's the most important part. Because that's when you meet people. 100%. Oh my God, going to the expo, people do not understand how important it is. It's like you become this person or like this thing that people look up to for like certain things or certain things you said or whatever, however you made someone feel. You gotta be there to talk to these people. Because like I have everything in my life because of the people who support me. Yeah, I put work and I did stuff, but like I wouldn't have shit if it wasn't for the people supporting me. I wouldn't have anything. Like I would be the fucking fuck. Why does it make me emotional? I would be the dude who just worked out. That's who I was. That's who I've always been. That's who I am now. That's who I would be. This dude who works out and I enjoy this. But then I put a camera on myself and I talk about life and I share myself, then I mean something to someone. And if I don't go and talk to those people and give them who that person is, because everyone says it's like I've known you forever. Because I go and I talk to someone, I talk to them the same way I talk to them on camera. Because that's who I am, and I will always be that person. And going to people and seeing them in person is the most important thing, because then you can show people who you really are. Because anyone can say anything about you on the internet and shine a negative light on you, but who you really are, you always see when you meet someone in person. Like people come up hands shaking, like nervous, because you mean something to them. And if my success is based on like what I've done or what I've said or how I've affected people, then meeting people is the most important thing. And I wish more people in this industry would give it more time. Give people more time. Because I've heard it repeated over and over again to me. So-and-so treated me like this. It was kind of like, get on, get a picture, get out of here. And they come to me and they say, oh, you're here. Like I get tons of tweets. People be like, I saw the way, I was at the expo. I sat in the line. I watched the way you interact with people. It made me want to wait even longer. Because like my lines, they're long because like I'm talking to people. I'm not just like, hey, buy my thing, fuck off. Like that's what happens a lot of the times. And it sucks because like, the thing that bothers me with that, it's not about, it's at the end of the day, everyone's gonna do everything they want, how they wanna do it, it's fine. But if it's the same people, let's say for example, you're a fan of me, you're a fan of him, you're a fan of him, you're a fan of her. Let's say those 4 people or those 3 people treat you like shit. And they're like, get in, get out, buy my shit, fuck off. I don't wanna hear what you have to say, I don't care about your story, whatever, cool, you like me, cool, right? Let's see if they did that. Then let's say they didn't meet me yet. And they're like, he's probably the same way. I don't want to.
Perception, right?
That's why I made a video a year ago and I talked about the fitness industry. Because people were so, it just wasn't, I felt like it wasn't right. But that was my opinion. But the only reason why I ever want to say anything is because I don't want someone to meet 4 people and be like, they treated me like shit and then I met you, or I didn't come to meet you because I thought you were going to be the same thing.
That was a good video, man.
Yeah, I thought so.